Chapter 4. Letters from the Fire. It arrived in the post the morning after the harvest celebration. The garden still smelled of lemongrass and ash. Empty teacups lined the porch railing like sentries. The fire pit was quiet now, reduced to soft charcoal. Amina was harvesting kale when Jabari came running down the path, a brown envelope fluttering in his hand like a caught bird. "Mama, something for you." Amina turned, wiping soil from her fingers on her wrap. Her name was written in careful script, with a black ink. She didn't need to open it to know who it was from. The handwriting had not changed. She stood very still for a moment, the garden humming around her. Then she tucked the envelope under her arm and finished picking the kale. She said nothing to Jabari, only kissed his forehead and sent him back to help Lindiwe. Later, after the children had gone down for their midday nap, Amina sat on the edge of their bed and peeled the envelope open with slow fingers. "My daughter Amina," it read, "I have started this letter many times. Each time I crumpled the page and threw it in the fire. Maybe that's where most of our words have gone, to smoke and silence. But today I try again, because something in me is softening. Maybe it's age. Maybe it's the dreams I keep having of you standing barefoot in the sun, surrounded by green things. Maybe it's that the world is changing and I am tired of pretending I haven't seen you in it. I heard from your cousin Mariam that you and your wife have made a home on the ridge, that there are children, a garden, a truck that feeds people, that your name is being spoken with admiration in places I never imagined. I was not the mother you needed when you needed me most. I tried to fit you into a shape the world would accept, and when you did not fold, I turned away. I blamed you for the ways your truth disturbed my peace. I thought I was protecting you from shame, but I see now I was protecting myself from fear. You were never broken, Amina. You were never wrong. And I see now with painful clarity that I may have been. I do not ask for forgiveness, only the possibility of beginning again. If you do not write back, I will understand. If you do not wish to see me, I will not disturb the life you've built. But know that not a day passes without me remembering the softness in you, the fierce beauty, the wildflower I could not name. With trembling hands, your mother, Layla." Amina folded the letter slowly, then held it to her chest. Her breath shivered as it left her body. She did not cry, not yet. Instead, she walked outside into the garden, the letter still warm against her heart. She found Lindiwe under the guava tree, basket in her lap, sorting herbs. Lindiwe looked up and saw something shift in her. Gently she asked, "What is it?" "My mother. She wrote to me," Amina replied. There was a long silence. The bees hummed. The world waited. Then Lindiwe asked, "What did she say?" Amina sat down beside her, placing the letter between them like an offering. Softly she answered, "She said she saw me." Lindiwe reached for her hand. They sat in silence, the wind threading through the marigolds, the scent of rosemary lifting like incense. That evening, Amina did not light a fire. Instead, she lit a single candle on the veranda and placed the letter beneath it. She did not answer yet, but she sat with it, and that, for now, was enough. That night, Amina didn't speak much. She folded the letter again, carefully, like something sacred, and placed it on the shelf above their bed beside a dried sprig of rosemary and a carved wooden comb from her childhood. Lindiwe didn't press. She simply made ginger tea and sat nearby, shelling peas into a metal bowl, her fingers working slowly, rhythmically, like prayer beads. The only sound was the soft click of peas, the distant whir of cicadas, and the breath of the sleeping children behind the curtain. When Amina finally lay down beside her, she turned away at first, staring out the window into the garden cloaked in moonlight, then said quietly, "I thought I didn't need her anymore." Lindiwe paused, resting her hand on the edge of the bed between them. Amina continued, I thought I made peace with it. Her silence, her absence. I thought the life we built had overwritten the one she refused to see. A long breath passed, but part of me still wanted to be chosen. Lindawe didn't speak right away. She reached out and gently traced circles on Amina's back, grounding her. We don't stop wanting to be claimed, Amina, not even when we learn to claim ourselves. Amina turned onto her back, eyes glistening in the dark. I used to dream she would show up to one of our food truck days, not to make a scene, not even to talk, just to be there, to taste what I'd made, to see I was never lost, just not following her map. Lindawe leaned closer, brushing a soft kiss to her temple. She sees it now. Maybe not all at once, but enough to write. That matters. Amina, with voice cracking, whispered, But it still hurts. It hurts that it took this long, that she missed so much, that she never got to meet our babies when they were new and wrinkled and still smelled like sunrise. She began to cry then, not loudly, but in waves, silent and deep. The kind of crying that didn't ask for attention but simply needed space to exist. Lindawe pulled her close, speaking no words, just holding. Just being the quiet Amina could fall apart in. At dawn, Amina walked barefoot into the garden. The soil was damp with dew, the air heavy with the smell of mint and marigold. She knelt near the pawpaw tree and touched the earth with both hands. I'm still here, she whispered to no one and to everything, and that's enough. She stayed there a long time. Later, she found Lindawe in the kitchen, flipping flatbreads. The children were still asleep, the house quiet but alive. I want to write her back. Nodding but not surprised, Lindawe responded, I'll keep the tea warm. It took 3 days, not because the words were hard to find, but because Amina needed to live with them before putting them down. She moved slowly through those days, harvesting, cooking, reading to the children, but always carrying the shape of her reply inside her. When she finally sat down, it was evening again. The candle was lit, the same one she had placed beside her mother's letter. She wrote, Mama, thank you for writing. I read your words with hands that remembered both hunger and holding. Yes, I am barefoot in the garden most days. Yes, I am in the sun with green things around me. And yes, I have made a life you didn't understand, but it has understood me in return. There is love here. So much love, not perfect, not easy but honest, and I am not alone. I won't pretend your silence didn't hurt me. It carved things in me I'm still naming. But I also see now how fear carves too, and maybe we are both finding our way back from it. I am open to beginning again, slowly, with honesty, with clear soil. If you wish to come one day, you can meet your grandchildren. If you're not ready, I will understand. But this door is open, and my hands are not empty. Amina. That evening, she gave the sealed envelope to Lindawe to mail at the next market day. I don't know what she'll do. You don't have to. You've already done what matters, Lindawe replied. They stood together on the porch, watching the stars blink alive above the hills. The garden rustled gently in the wind, and somewhere in the stillness, a door reopened. Chapter 5. Roots and Remedies. It began with a question. One quiet evening under the guava tree, with the last of the hibiscus tea gone cold beside her and Nyasha asleep on her lap, Lindawe looked out over the garden, its lavender and lemongrass, the scarred pawpaw trunk still standing, and asked Amina, what if what we've built here wasn't just for us? Amina turned her head, gently, curious. You mean the garden? The garden, the food, the way we've survived, the way we've healed. What if we found a way to root it in others too? What if this, she gestured around them, could become a map? That night the idea took root. They called it the Wildflower Healing Network, a patchwork of queer-led, land-rooted micro-sanctuaries. Not clinics, not therapy centers. Something more ancient, more tender. A space where Black and queer folks could come to, breathe, grieve, learn to grow something and be named fully without apology. They envisioned small plots of land, community gardens, food sovereignty training, herbal knowledge circles, trauma-informed storytelling spaces, coordinated from one central hub at their own home on QueerAfrique. It wasn't charity, it was offering. It was resistance wrapped in basil and balm. To begin, they sent word through the Wildflower Circle, the trusted cooperative of queer elders, midwives, seed keepers, and community defenders. Amina designed the message by hand on recycled paper, and Lindiwe recorded a voice note that played like a prayer. If you have wounds that bloom in silence, if you've ever been called too much or not enough, if you've ever held your own hands because no one else did, come. We're building something soft and fierce and yours. The first circle gathered 3 weeks later under the jacaranda. 10 people came, then 15, then more. They came from dusty roads, narrow lanes, bus stations, and boda stops. Some with backpacks full of stories, others with nothing but silence and wide eyes. There was Chiku, a non-binary botanist from Lugoba, who'd lost their job after coming out and now wanted to grow medicines for queer youth. Mama Chepo, a retired doula from Masalani, who carried grief in her joints and stories in her laughter. Blessing and Sifa, lovers from Kibaya, whose home had been torched by vigilantes but whose love burned brighter still. They sat in a circle with hands in soil and words rising like steam from a full pot. And slowly, gently, the work began. Each week, they met. Mondays were for digging, planting, weeding the old fears out of the ground. Wednesdays were for making salves, teas, tinctures, gathered from the herbs Lindiwe helped identify and Amina prepared with reverent precision. Fridays were for stories. Some read aloud, others whispered. A few said nothing and simply sat, hands on their knees, eyes closed, letting the sound wash over them. One evening, Chiku brought a tiny clay pot filled with soil from their late grandmother's grave. "I want her to be part of this," they said. "She was the first to love me before I knew who I was." They buried it under the marigold tree. But not everyone in QueerAfrique approved. A pastor from the neighboring homestead posted a rant online calling the gathering a den of confusion and sodomy in disguise. A local radio station played it for laughs. Amina's photo circulated with slurs beneath it. Lindiwe's phone buzzed with blocked calls and quiet threats. One morning, someone smeared ash across their gate and left a Bible verse scrawled in charcoal. Amina sat on the porch staring at it, shoulders tight. Lindiwe brought her a glass of baobab juice, sat beside her and whispered, "They are loud because they see us blooming, but they don't know our roots." They painted over the gate in lavender and gold, and Nyasha added tiny chalk stars along the bottom. Over the next 2 months, plots sprouted in 5 towns. Chiku launched a seed bank in Lugoba. Blessing and Sifa planted sunflowers on the ashes of their old home. Mama Chepo hosted healing baths under the moon, mixing oils with stories of birth and resilience. At the heart of it all was Amina and Lindiwe's garden, now more than a place. It was a root system, invisible but unbreakable. One quiet morning, a letter came again. This time not from Amina's mother, but from a young trans boy named Mudiwa, who had come to one of the early gatherings. "You don't know what you've given me. You've given me the word possible. You've given me the silence of wind in trees that doesn't ask questions. You've given me a place where my name belongs in someone's mouth. I want to learn how to grow tomatoes next." Amina read it aloud to Lindiwe. They sat on the porch with their feet touching, the garden rustling around them. "I think we've started something we won't live to finish," Lindiwe admitted. "Good, that means it's worth planting," answered Amina. And so the Wildflower Healing Network spread, not through grants or hashtags, but through word of mouth, seeds in envelopes, quiet prayers, open doors, and barefoot love. It spread like marigolds, it spread like memory, it spread like home.
This is QueerAfrique, where African queer stories bloom boldly. Subscribe to witness more. Share the story and let's gather around the fire. Until next time.